All right, and good morning. It is Tuesday, October the 15th, 2019. Let's go ahead and take a look at yesterday. So, as I wait for this to load, there we go. Okay, so let's go into our major market indicators for our daily video chart. Okay, so when we were looking at the S&P 500 yesterday, or our SPY, a couple of things to note. First, very small intraday movement, right? So 295.42 basically to 296.50. So a dollar move, a third of a percentage, very little movement yesterday, very little volatility in the market. Again, we have two major wicks here, and then to note, significantly small volume. Okay, so really small volume compared to what we had been seeing over the last month, right? A couple of days that we're down that low, but very small volume. So I'm treating this as kind of a day of indecision. You know, not really a lot happening here for us in regards to any type of direction. We did have a doji, right? So a doji candle, almost exactly a doji. And then we are still above all of our major moving average lines. So above our exponential moving average line, we're above our 50, and we're above our 200. And so really not quite sure. I am looking for a little bit of a bullish move, and we're gapping up today. So 296.88, 296.91. So really looking there. One of the things that I'm paying close attention to is getting another day. On Friday, I should have placed a diagonal up here. We've talked a little bit about that. Should have placed a diagonal up here at this candle, and we'd be sitting really nice. Didn't do that. Did have a gravestone doji here, but it's just sometimes you miss them. Okay, so looking there, you're gonna see very similar things here on all of the charts. Very similar doji style candles, right? We do have our expected move here in SPX for the week, right? It really doesn't though look like, at least for this first day, that we're anywhere close to that. And we still have quite a little bit of volatility to go. Seeing the same thing, let's back that actually up just a little bit. Seeing the same thing in our NDX. So not really a lot going on there. Okay, let's get into our trading strategy. The one thing to note, or the one major thing to note yesterday, we do have all of our, we can actually get rid of this XOP. We did exit XOP yesterday. We talked about that in the video. We exited XOP and got 80% profit. So 80% profit in on that trade, which is super good. Now, one of the things that I tried to get in at the end of the day yesterday was a vertical here in GDX. Take a look at this call versus put volume, right? So 38,500 calls versus 2,600 puts. We found that through our scan here. Let's get our other scan up. So we go into our put call ratio scan here, and what we got was GDX as our, and that was of course yesterday. We had GDX pop, and so I'm still looking to go bullish in on this particular security. So as I look, I wouldn't mind trying like a 36.35, right? We're at 74% probability out of the money. So going 36.35, trying to get 50 to 75% of that credit. Real quick, real nice trade there. But again, looking at this put to call ratio, calls, so many more calls versus puts. So let's go bullish. If you want to go a week out further, you can actually get decent at 35, right? 35, 34, less theta decay, but also less, delta and gamma risk here. And so you could do that. If you wanted to go a little bit closer, you could grab this 35.5. It's a little close for me as I look to put this trade on. Market move is 1.25, so $1.25. So 35.50 would be a solid place. Okay, let's go into our other scans. So we have Ford and Carnival. Did try also to get into Carnival yesterday, CCL. We tried a diagonal here. Could never quite get filled, so buy the diagonal. Switch this over this way, right, for 48 debit. You actually can still get it. And of course, update this to the 19th, right? And we are, potentially making, $20 as our, if the market were to crash. 43.11 is currently the one standard deviation move, which would be a loss of 200, but you could potentially grab $300 if the market were to go nowhere. So this is a trade that you could certainly put on out of this scan, right? Ford, I don't ever do anything with Ford, right? Unless I'm going long or short the stock. But the yield's so good, right, that I typically only ever go long in Ford. All right, so let's see here. We got Beyond Meat gapping down a little bit. We got Snap in the oversold, and then we've got PBT. Let's get rid of the other. Same securities are showing up there. So let's go into Beyond Meat. So Beyond Meat closed yesterday at 126.31. Let's go into what the expected move was this week. So again, we put this on, and right here, so we are at 122.65. We still, Beyond Meat was down big, right? Down pretty big, and we still have quite a little bit of time before we get to this 122.65 range, okay? Now, if we go to Beyond Meat, wait for our data, basically even calls and puts, which is kind of super important to take a look at. We are now at a $6.86 move from here. So we're now down to 118 to 130 as the expected move, right? But what we see is we already have a pretty significant piece of the weekly expected move that happened, okay? And so looking here, we could, let's go back to our trade tab. We're now at a $6 move, so we're at 118. Could you get a decent trade on? Yeah, you could probably get a decent trade on here at 125 or 118 to 116, right? Go for half of the credit there on this trade. We are showing up on oversold, right? So oversold here on both parts of the scan. We have we're close to that expected move from the week. And so could you put one on? Absolutely, you could certainly put one on. We have earnings out here, right? And so we're beginning to see a little bit of implied volatility come in. And so if you wanted to grab one that would close on this day out here, you certainly can, right? That's a good trade, putting a number of different probabilities. Now the chart's ugly, right? Chart's ugly. It is certainly rolling over. I mean, it literally looks like a roll. And so the security itself is certainly rolling over. Okay. Now let's go to our last scan, and then let's take a look at earnings. There were a couple of earnings that I was interested in. J&J, JPM, C. They all listed yesterday, but here's the reason why I didn't get into any of those is because implied volatility, right? We know that earnings, are a good time to sell premium, but the issue there is that if we aren't going and really using implied volatility, then like J&J, so the implied move was $3.50, and we are basically there, right? Like we're basically there at this 350, and so we would be challenged on this side because we weren't able to get decent size enough credit to really make sure that risk was in our favor. Right now, had we had higher implied volatility, these options would have been worth more, and we maybe could have went, I like to go wide, and so we maybe could have went, if it was trading at 130, 125, 135 as our short strikes, right? Those are the kinds of interesting trades to me, and when I will get in those. So for today, I'm looking at trying to find a position in GDXJ. We'll look at some of these earnings, see if any of these are earnings for either after the close today or before the market opens tomorrow, and then we'll see what we can do in regards to some of those trades. Okay, well, that is it for today. Lengthier video, but a lot going on in the market, a lot worth talking about. And so hopefully this certainly has been helpful. We will go in and continue to try to build on what has been a really successful week so far in the markets and in our trading. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Otherwise, let's get to it.